Welcome to episode 24 of the Babes Talking Business podcast. Today we have the beautiful Georgie Stevenson, a 24-year-old entrepreneur who's a passionate health and fitness content creator, podcast host, and co-business owner of the Naked Harvest supplements. Ambitious in her pursuits to teach women how to live a healthy lifestyle, Georgie preaches her health without obsession message wherever she goes, and this message filters down into all aspects of her personal branding and thriving business. With a community of over 280,000 Instagram followers and over 250,000 downloads of the Rise and Conquer podcast, Georgie's mission is to lead women into a healthy, happy life free of restriction and dieting. Instead, Georgie encourages women to step into their power, foster healthy relationships with food, and lead a healthy lifestyle they have always dreamt of living. Today, we chat about all things business startup, how she left her successful corporate career as a lawyer to pursue her dreams, building business on social media, mindset hacks, and her thoughts on selling a product to consumers, and how you too can do this successfully without the barriers and roadblocks that can sometimes arise for business owners. We're so excited to bring you today's episode. It's proudly sponsored by the Health Style Emporium online holistic program, a global program designed for women to help them become the happiest, healthiest, most inspired version of themselves. With over 7,000 members worldwide, diving headfirst into their health and well-being with whole food nutrition, meditation, exercise, and education on all things women's health, like how to nourish your body and soul with hormone health, gut health, skincare, mindset, mental health, and so much more. We are huge advocates of business and career-focused women putting their health first as a priority. So to learn more about the program or to join the upcoming 6-week online transformation challenge starting July 1st, head over to www.thehsc.net to connect with one of our wellness coaches for more information. And make sure you find Babes Talking Business over on Instagram for your daily dose of business inspo. You can find us over at Babes Talking Business, where we also do a shout out of the week every week. Leave us a review on iTunes and let us know what you think about this episode. And don't forget to leave your Instagram handle so we can tag you and shout you out. You can also check out our website at www.babestalkingbusiness.com, where we have loads more information, including upcoming events we have later on this year. So without further ado, we are so excited to introduce to you this total babe, Georgie Stevenson. Hi, Georgie. Welcome to the Babes Talking Business podcast. We're so excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited too.
I have so much that I want to talk to you about. I have been such a fan of you and your message and your mission for such a long time. So it's so cool to finally have a chit chat with you. And recently I've just watched you just really send out such a beautiful message to women all across the globe. But more in particular, I think people are really going to be excited to listen to this podcast because we get to see Georgie with the business cap on. We always see Georgie who's motivating and inspiring and really helping women to love themselves more and dive into their wellness. But we sort of want to turn the table a little bit today and talk about you and your entrepreneurial journey, because that in itself has been so inspiring to watch as well. So I cannot wait.
Well, firstly, thank you. That was so beautiful. And I'm also really excited to chat about it. Like you said, I am usually talking about more of the health side of things. So I'm excited to talk about something new today.
Yay. Well, I want to start off with my first question for you. Obviously, you have an incredible influence online. You've built such a beautiful social media presence. And I know that a lot of people who are trying to start a business always think, people with influence, they're so lucky, they have followers and they've got connections and it's so easy for them. But I really want to squash that myth today with you. And I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about what your journey's been like. I'm sure you've worked extremely hard to be where you are today, and I'm assuming that your influence hasn't necessarily been something that has been a positive for you. So I'd love for you to chat a bit about that, and what has that journey looked like for you?
Yeah, for sure. So it is kind of funny because even though I am an influencer, and I'm saying that in air quotes, what a lot of people see is this kind of last couple of years where I quit my corporate job. I was working as a lawyer in the city, and then I brought up my ebook and I started my podcast, and then recently just started Naked Harvest supplements with my brother. And so people obviously see this very kind of glamorous and glossy, really quick turnaround. But what you don't see is the sort of 8 years before that, where I was posting obviously a lot on my journey on social media, working full-time, also doing my law degree full-time, doing it all at once. And it's not like I was one of those people who instantly got to 1 million followers or anything like that. It's been a very slow and steady thing, which I personally love because I've been able to adapt as things have sort of come around. But yeah, people don't really see the 8 years before and the law degree that I did and all those sorts of things that I think intertwine. And in saying that, I do think it would be silly of me to say to you, oh no, my influences has nothing to do with any of my businesses, because of course it does. I think you need to think about it though and look at other influences and kind of think, not that we want to compare ourselves too much, but there's a lot of other influencers out there with the exact same amount of following, doing completely different things and not necessarily going down this route. So of course it has helped in different situations, but it definitely isn't just because you have a following means you automatically are, this business person or anything like that.
Yeah, totally. I love that, because so many people don't see the hard work that happened before, success comes around. And I think we're in a generation right now where people just want that short-term satisfaction. They want to see the results quick and fast, and it just doesn't work like that. Like you just mentioned, you've been working on this for 8 years. You were working full-time as a lawyer, and I remember following you a few years ago, and this was like a passion project for you. This was like your little side gig.
Yeah, 100%. And also the thing is, like for so long, I was either working or studying full-time. I was like working full-time, I was studying, or I had the position at the law firm. And then that meant I was doing all my sort of side things either before and after work. And I used to start work at 7:30 in the morning, wouldn't get home till 6. I also, my now husband, have always had a boyfriend. So yeah, it was always kind of like a juggling game, but I was always very much, I wanted to do it all. I wanted to work full time. I wanted to study, and I wanted to do the side business stuff. I could have easily picked one, but for so long I wanted to do it all because I don't know, I just had such a passion for it.
And that's just called grit, girl. You've got grit.
I think back now and think, oh my God, I could not do that now. it just my whole either before, after work, and then all weekend. And I look back now, I was like, wow, I really had some passion for that. I did burn out. So it's funny.
I love it. And what would you say your biggest lesson in your journey has been with building your business and having it where it is today?
The thing is, I couldn't really tell you and pinpoint one. I think I want to go for more of a broader lesson in regards to something I personally used to do. I'm such a big person. I love reading books. I love podcasts. I love consuming. And I think that's really great. And I feel like that has really helped me. But something that I've realized and had to learn myself is just because someone does it a certain way and, you know, people you look up to and inspire do it like a certain way doesn't mean you have to do it. And I think that's the whole beauty of, you know, having your own business is you get to decide how you do it, how you run things, if it aligns with your values. And I think that took me a while. I think for a while I was really not trying to copy other people, but very much trying to run things in a way that other people, you know, said it should run. Whereas my business has really flourished when I looked into it and thought, you know, what do I want? What are my values? And really mold it that way rather than just try and do, you know, what people say that is going to make you 7 figures or be successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And, you know, when you did get started with all of this, you kind of dived into it a little bit before, but I'd love to know, like, what is it that you invested in this? Like, and in terms of like time, sacrifices, energy, personal development courses, education, conferences. Like, I know that when we talk to a lot of business owners who are quite successful, they haven't just like hop, skipped, jumped to where they were. They've really, like you said, consumed a lot of their knowledge and really done that personal development to distinguish what their values are and how they want their business to look. So what did that look like for you while you were still working? What other outside resources and tools were you diving into to help yourself grow?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I just love consuming. Like, I love consuming stuff. So I'm really big into audiobooks. I personally don't have the time, but I love to multitask. So, you know, every time I was on the bus to work, it was only about half an hour, but I would be either listening to an audiobook, which was always usually around business, or a podcast, really diving into that. And then it was just a lot about utilizing my time in the best way possible. So, you know, then in my lunch break, I would be doing the same. And then I would take every like free online resource, you know, where they give you like the free ebook or something like that. And I would actually do it. I feel like a lot of people consume a lot of stuff of podcasts and audiobooks and free resources, but they don't put it into action. Whereas I was like this being, I loved it, but I would always put it into action. And yeah, that's kind of what it was a lot of time investment during. And to be completely honest, when I did quit my corporate job, I actually did get a business coach, which was actually a really big investment. It was like, at the time, it was more than half my wage that I would earn in a year. Yeah, wow. And I guess looking back, it was definitely worth it. But looking back, the biggest thing that business coach helped me with was actually just believing in myself, because I think I just really lacked that, especially being someone who thought I was never going to own my own business or anything like that. That's just something I really had to work on. And that really helped me.
Yeah. I love that. Loz and I have this rule. In fact, we learnt this rule from our friend Fraser, who we got to interview last week on the podcast. But he always says, match 30 minutes of like personal development with 30 minutes of action in your business. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that people who are trying to start up a business, the biggest mistake they make is they invest all this time and energy into like reading the books, listening to the podcasts, going to the personal development courses, but then they don't put it into action. And it's like, well, that's where the secret sauce is. That's where the money-making activity is. And
100%.
I love that you just brought that up, because one of the characteristics that Loz and I see in successful business owners are that they take massive action. They just get it done, no ifs or buts, no excuses. It's just head down, bum up, let's get to work. So I love that you brought that up.
Well, it's true, because, well, the funny thing is, when I say that, I definitely at the start was that person who would just consume, but it wasn't until I started taking action that I really saw that, you know, doing all this consuming was paying off.
Totally. And so, well, let's talk about what you've created. I mean, you have your own podcast channel, which I absolutely love, and also you now have your own natural supplement company. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. What would you like to know?
So,
and thank you.
So let's start with your supplement company. I'd love to bring light to it because I think what you're doing for women is so incredible and really helping them up level. So your supplement company is startup phase, or how long have you had it for now?
Yeah, so I'll give you a bit of the rundown. So it's called Naked Harvest Supplements, and this came to light just under a year ago. I'm really close with my brother. I have 3 older brothers, and my brother Cooper, who's like the most closest to me in age. We've always been really close, and he moved to the Gold Coast, and so he had this like travel time, which was like, you know, an hour each way, if not more. And so he used to call me all the time. And because I had started working from home, I had the time to have these calls. And he was really into self-help and self-development too. So we would discuss audiobooks and podcasts and really bounce off each other in regards to ideas and things coming up. So we always had that really nice relationship. And then I remember talking to him just about some issues I had. As you know, Shan, I'm really into like my health and fitness. Mm-hmm. I've always been really into using supplements to complement my lifestyle. I'm a big believer in, you know, have your big blocks down packed, which is, you know, what you eat, your movement, stress, and that sort of thing. And then on top of that, supplements can really help and complement your lifestyle. But in saying that, I've kind of had this wild ride where I really struggled because I am into all natural and products without the crap, and I had some issues, you know, with my skin and all this sort of thing. And then I also had some issues where I worked with a company, and I later found out through testing that they were lying on their packaging about, you know, they said no refined sugars, and there was refined sugar in there. And they also said they were vegan. And then there was a test that there was dairy in there. And I just remember thinking, and this is also me as an influencer, I'm putting this in air quotes again, influencing other people to buy this product that I truly believed in, and I loved the brand, and then finding out that they could actually lie on their packaging. And I just remember talking to Cooper, and I just was like, I cannot believe this. And it was so hurtful, and it really like burned me. It was probably good though, because it made me really evaluate who I did, you know, influence on my channels and that sort of stuff. But me and Cooper were just talking about it, and I just remember saying to him, why is it so hard? Like, surely it cannot be that hard to, you know, have natural products and actually be honest about what's in them. And we just would have this discussion. And one day Cooper said to me, he was like, would you ever want to start a natural supplement company? Because you're so passionate about it. I think it was over me whinging about it. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, oh, like I'd love to, but I just don't even know how that would work. And then it was kind of on to the next topic. Anyway, long story short, because I realize I'm rambling here, Cooper basically came to me and he was like, and also I said to him at that time, I was like, yeah, I'd love to, but like I don't have that sort of time. Like I was running my podcast and like I had heaps of things going on. And anyway, he came to me and he said, do you want to work together? Let's make your dream a reality. I will help you, because he already owned his own business. And so he was good with kind of logistical sort of stuff. And he's like, you have such a passion idea. Anyway, long story short, we created a natural supplement company from the ground up. So we've literally like worked with a food technician to make this formula and tested it out and picked all our own packaging, going back and forth to make sure we have like biodegradable packaging and like all this sorts of stuff, which honestly has been my favorite thing to be involved in every single decision, because as an influencer, you do get a lot of opportunities to collaborate with a brand, bring out your own product and all this sort of thing. But because of that whole thing happening with that brand and them lying on their packaging, I always said to myself, I would not put my name on anything unless I knew exactly what was happening, from the ground up. Yeah. And so to be able to create exactly what I wanted and something I was so passionate about from the ground out has just been the best experience, the longest experience, but the best experience. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
It does. No, I wanted to get a background on it. And in fact, I'm so happy we're chatting about this because Loz and I obviously mentor women in the health and wellness space and helping them build their businesses up. And Loz and myself have also partnered up with a beautiful company that's a whole food product. And what happens when you sort of stick your name to something like that? You really do want to make sure that you're passionate about it, that you know all the research, you know about the company, you know all those details, because that's so important. And that was something that was really high on my value list, and I know it was for Lauren as well. So something that we've experienced in this industry is people who are in health and wellness and potentially have partnered up with a product or have a service and product to sell. They just get so caught up on the whole, I don't want to sell to people, or I feel like I'm like selling online. And I just love how you've done it. You are just obviously so passionate about your product and you know what's in it and you just love it. And so I'm assuming that you don't have any blockages around sharing it with your audience and educating people on it. Whereas I know a lot of women who are listening to this probably come up with that barrier where they're like, ooh, that word like sell, they hate it. But I'd love to hear your insight on this and I guess your like mentality and mindset around this.
Well, it's funny because I do agree almost selling is like this dirty word that no one wants to say or talk about. Whereas if you think about it, like every single day we are constantly in situations where we are getting sold something and usually we are so happy about it. Like when I think about all the things that I get sold, like recently I just moved into a new house, so I'm doing a lot of buying in regards to homewares and stuff like that. And if you think about the transaction of selling, I personally think, like you said, if you are selling something that you truly believe in, that you know works, there just should be no feelings because like with our natural pre-workout, I know how hard we worked on the formula. I know exactly what's in it. I know from the ground up, like we say on the packaging that it's vegan, that it has no refined sugars, everything. And I know for sure. And also I know it is the best tasting natural pre-workout, which is extremely hard. Trust me, like to get something like natural flavoring that actually tastes good is extremely hard. I understand why no one does natural pre-workouts. But I personally know the product is so good and so worth the money too. That was another thing, is our price point is very good in the market. And so I feel good about every aspect of the sale. And I think that makes a really big difference. And I think if you are having these feelings of, oh, it's a dirty word and blockages, you maybe need to kind of reevaluate the way you see it, because I see selling and buying as this beautiful relationship and transaction, because it is. There should not be any yucky feelings unless you are selling something you don't believe in or you're buying something that you don't believe in. So I don't know. It's definitely a mindset shift, but once you do make that shift and you are completely obsessed with what you are selling, I just don't see you like having any of those blocks, if that makes sense.
Totally. I love it. And I mean, I think it's you just explained it so beautifully, and you say it with so much conviction as well. Like when you love something, you naturally share it. You organically recommend it to people. I was having this conversation with a girlfriend the other day who I was trying to explain to her that sales is just like this beautiful energetic exchange that we have between people. And like, if I have a really lovely candle in my house and you say to me, Shan, like, where did you get that candle from? It smells amazing. I'm going to recommend to you the shop that I bought it from. I just sold you a candle. Like, it's the exact same thing. Same with like when we watch movies. I'm watching like a Netflix show and I'm like, oh my gosh, Georgie, like you should watch this Netflix show. It's so hilarious. If you ever want to binge on a weekend, like go for it. I just sold you a Netflix show. So
100%.
I love how you explained that. That was really awesome. So now that you have obviously left your corporate career and you're working full-time on your own business, what are the payoffs for you now? What does life look like?
Okay, so I guess for me, the biggest difference is the flexibility in my day. And like I said about having these choices that are very much my own. I obviously did work the corporate life in a really good law firm, but it did come with a lot of, there's a set time you have to start work and all these rules and regulations. And something I realized is I very much love having the flexibility. So I love being able to work from home and, be in my comfy clothes, not my blazer every single day. So it's little things like that. And then I guess the bigger things, especially being a young girl in a corporate job, like, to be blatantly honest, you don't get any decision making. You don't get any of that. And I found that kind of hard because I guess I am quite headstrong and I know what I want and I do take myself very seriously. And so now in my business, the fact that I do get to make every little decision, and I guess I'm a bit of a control freak. And I love getting that control and the choices. Like, for example, I love the fact that in my business, we get to decide exactly, what packaging we're going to use and just like little stuff like that. But then I guess also a big thing for me has been the lifestyle of working for yourself. I don't think I could go back now because I just realized that has been such a big change in my happiness and like mental, my mental clarity and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. I can totally agree with you there. I used to be a registered nurse and I'm like, I could never go back. Like, you could not pay me $1 million to go back because it is that flexibility and that fun of, I guess you could call it control.
I know we don't like to say it like that, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yes, I'm a control freak.
I'm totally owning that I'm a control freak. I don't care. So something that I think is really important to talk about is self-confidence and also, I guess, doubt. I think it rears its ugly head a lot for entrepreneurs. And I know for myself included, like there are days where I feel like, oh my God, I can't do this, or can I do that? Like, what, who am I kidding? Like, can I actually achieve this? Or who do I think I am? And, it takes a lot of work to build that self-worth and confidence. And I'd love to learn from you because, we do such an incredible job of sharing with people online everything that we're about, and you do such a good job of being authentic as well. So I really want to dive into that. Do you ever come across days where, or moments of self-doubt, or you lack confidence in what you're doing?
Honestly, every single day. And it's funny you bring this up because I am such that person. I probably look very confident, and I am very confident in myself, and I have done a lot of inner work where I feel like I'm at a place where I do very much value myself. But I would be totally lying if I said that I didn't have those feelings. I definitely suffer from imposter syndrome a lot. Like, even, for example, when I got this email to come on the show, I thought, why do they want me on the show? Like, who am I to be speaking about this? Which is, it's silly. It's really silly. And I definitely, it is funny, especially I think because of my age as well. Like I get these feelings of, who am I to start this company? Who am I to talk about these things? And that sort of thing, which I think a lot of young women, I feel like we all have this feeling, which is, when you think about it, it's so bizarre, but it's very much, I feel like it's more of a society thing. So, yeah, I definitely feel it. I have put in place a lot of things that I do when I get this feeling that I kind of like push it back down because it does pop up. Honestly, I'm really big into affirmations and mantras and writing my goals, which I find really center and ground me when I feel like this, because when I feel like this, it's very much a feeling of like a floating feeling of like being in that anxiety state. So I find grounding sort of exercises help me with this.
I love that. That's so cool. I know for me, like when I'm having those moments, I just love journaling. I just like writing it out. It's really therapeutic for me. I just like write what I'm thinking, get it all off my chest. And then even sometimes I'll think, oh my God, Shani, you're such a loser. Like, I can't believe I just wrote that. Like, I want to tear the page out, but I'm like, no.
100%. And that's such a big thing, because I think when you write it down on paper, you realize how silly you're being. And it's such a good exercise though, because it's kind of like getting those feelings like energetically out of your body.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it.
I like doing the movements too with my hands.
Yeah. And well, the last question I really wanted to ask you, and I forgot to mention it before, but it's your podcast, the Rise and Conquer podcast. I'd love to know what your day looks like. I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening to this episode are like, okay, what does Georgie's day look like? Like, she's got her natural supplement company. She runs an incredible Instagram account and social media platforms. And then you've got this podcast. Like, how does she have time to do all of this? What does a day in your life look like?
Sure. Well, it's honestly not that interesting. I'll fully break it down for you. So I'm a very like scheduled person. I always have been. And so my days are very similar, which I personally love. Anyway, so I always get up. My husband works in construction, so he's always up early. And so I find it easy to get up. I've always been a morning person. So I get up. I always do a 6 a.m. gym class. Since moving to the Gold Coast and living closer to my brother, I will do it with him or his wife, Ash. So it's like nice having a little gym buddy. Then I get home and I always take the puppies for a walk. We're quite close to the beach. So it's kind of been like a thing that I said to myself since moving close to the beach, that I would go for a beach walk every single day. And it's literally like 20 minutes. Then I get home, have a shower. I always start work by 8:39, and I always start the day with a team call. I say team, but it's like just me and Mel, the girl who works for me. A team call, it's just me.
I love it.
So I have a call with Melissa, who's my project manager, and we just chat about what she's working on, if I need anything, if she needs anything, which I find always very constructive. And then I look at my Asana, which is just this program I use that has all my to-dos and dates and things. And then I plan my day. So I will write down what I need to do that day, how long I'm going to take, and full schedule out my day, which is totally nerdy. But anyway, and then for me, I'm such a person, I always put my creative stuff that I need to do in the morning. My brain always works a lot better. So I usually do my content creation, writing copy, that sort of thing in the morning. And then I will leave my admin sort of stuff the afternoon, because I'm usually brain dead after lunch. I don't know why. And then in there is like, I'll have a call with Cooper and we'll talk about Naked Harvest, or I might have a podcast interview or anything like that. So I just like schedule it all in there, break it down. And then I try to finish work every single day at 5. Usually Tim's home from gym by then. He gets home early and then goes to gym. And so if I haven't taken the dogs for a walk already, we'll go for a walk or spend a bit of time together. We have a shower, make dinner. I do sometimes slip back on the computer around 7 when we're like watching TV, but I am trying to like not do that, because I'm finding my sleeps are never as good if I do that. But yeah, so that's my day. It's quite boring, but I love it.
I honestly think it's such great insight because I know that a lot of people who do want to have their business eventually be their plan A and be their full-time thing, a lot of people wonder, like, well, what do I do when I don't have a job? And it's just exactly the same as if you had a 9 to 5. And I'm much like you, like I'll catch myself just jumping on emails quickly at night. Like when I'm trying to wind down, my brain just doesn't turn off. Literally, I wake up, my eyes open, and I'm like, okay, got to do so much today. So I totally resonate with that.
Well, I think the beauty, though, of owning your own business and doing your thing is my day very much looks like that because I'm a person who loves that. Mm-hmm. But the beauty of it is, for example, if I wake up one day and I'm not feeling it either physically or mentally, I will say to Mel, hey, look, I'm really not into it today. I'm going to kind of take a day and I might go off and do errands or do something like that. And then I'm a big person in regards of if I do, miss a day during the week, I'll work on the weekends, which I do anyway. But the beauty of it is you get to decide and you get to really put in the work and energy, which usually shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so good to hear it from someone else so that people can really understand, like, we're all wired the same way. That's just what life looks like. But I just wanted to thank you so much for your time and jumping on our podcast and sharing your light and wisdom with our audience. It's been so amazing to chat with you and get some insight into your mindset. And it's just so cool to hear how much ambition you have. And it's so great to see the success that you have. Loz and I have loved following your journey and it's been incredibly inspiring. So thank you so much, Georgie, for jumping on today, and we'll continue following you. Where can our followers find you? What's the best platform where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, thank you. I've actually loved chatting about this. Like I said, it's not something I usually chat about and I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show. And I'm sad Loz wasn't here. I know she's sick. But hopefully, because we all live on the Gold Coast, we can catch up in person, which would be awesome. But you can find me. I mostly live on Instagram. My Instagram is just my name, which is Georgie Stevenson. Otherwise, I do have my podcast, which is the Rise and Conquer podcast, which is all about like mindset and goals and those fun things. And then also, like I said, I did just start up Naked Harvest. And so we are fully live now. And that is just nakedharvestsupplements.com.
Amazing. We will pop all those links down below in the podcast notes for our people to follow you. But it's been such a pleasure, beautiful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. It's been awesome.
We hope you loved today's episode of the Babes Talking Business podcast. We're loving bringing you these episodes. Our mission really is to share and add value to your week, whether you're a budding entrepreneur or you're a veteran and you've been owning your own business for quite some time. Don't forget, if you're loving our podcast, we would absolutely love and appreciate for you to rate us and drop in some love on the iTunes app by giving us some feedback. We want to do something really exciting and we want to do a shout out of the week every week on our Instagram for anyone who reviews us. So please make sure you leave us 5 sparkly stars and you give us your feedback, but don't forget to add your Instagram handle or website so that we can shout you out. You can follow us on Instagram at Babes Talking Business, or you can check out our website at www.babestalkingbusiness.com. You can check out the Health Style Emporium online holistic health program, our beautiful sponsors over at www.thehsc.net. All of these links are available below in our podcast notes and on our website. Thanks for tuning in.